This is the ultimate beginner's guide for Dark and Darker, where I'll quickly cover the basics of this game to get you past that beginner's learning curve. First, there are 9 classes to choose from, each that can deal physical damage, magical damage, or both. Some have ranged, and some kind of don't. Each class has its own weakness, some more than others, but regardless, all classes are viable. There are 7 primary stats that influence your character's capabilities. You have strength, vigor, agility, dexterity, will, knowledge, and resourcefulness. Every class starts with a certain amount of stats. Some classes utilize certain stats better than others, but generally almost all stats can be used in one way or another. There are also secondary stats that are influenced by your primary stats. Since that is a long list, I won't be covering that, but do keep it in mind as you loot and gear up. Each class uses specific items. The rarity of each item determines how many secondary stats it can have. Also note, not every item has access to every bonus stat. Collect plants when you see them. You can use these to craft upgraded potions. Lockpicks are good for lion head chests and golden chests. There are special keys designated to specific doors to rooms with treasure hoards. Treasure hoards are gold piles that contain a random mix of loot ranging from jewels, gear, and gold containers. There are also quest items you can collect in-game to turn into the merchants. Some quest items drop more often than others. Some quests require you to turn in jewelry as well, so be careful not to be so quick on selling those. Okay, so merchants. I'll try not to bore you with the specifics of merchants, but I will tell you that completing quests for merchants gives you more affinity. More affinity can mean cheaper prices, more items to buy, or more items to craft. Even better, raising your affinity with merchants can grant you new squire gear to use, or even upgraded squire gear. The squire is a merchant used to prepare and change your character's starting gear. One of the best things about the squire is that he can store gear sets you've put together. This makes it convenient to quickly equip your gear without having to shuffle through your inventory, and on top of that, this frees up inventory space. Okay, that's enough about stats, gear, and merchants. Let's move on to PvE. There are 3 different levels to mobs: normal, elite, and nightmare. Normal being the easiest, and nightmare being the hardest. I would explain what makes them harder, but I'll leave that up to you to find out. If you ever feel like mobs aren't enough for you, don't worry. There are bosses to every map that'll give you a run for your loot. The Ice Caverns map, however, doesn't have a boss on the first floor, but if you dive deeper into the Ice Abyss, you might just find a wiper. Although bosses can be very difficult to overcome, they can drop crazy good loot. If you're playing in High Roller, they also have a minuscule chance of dropping artifacts. Artifacts are named weapons at the highest rarity, and each weapon has its own unique effect. Getting a chance to loot named items is by far one of the greatest feelings in the PvE aspect. If you ever need a guide on mobs or bosses, there are plenty of YouTube videos out there as a great learning resource. Now to my favorite topic, PvP. There's so much thought that can go into it, so I'll try my best not to overcomplicate it. As you begin, you should understand how your character moves, uses their weapon, and the advantages and disadvantages to your class setup. Movement is arguably the most important thing to learn in this game. It determines your skill and your ability to survive any circumstance. By looking down, your character will visibly bend forward and look down as if to crouch. Looking up will cause your character to lean back, like they're Neo from the Matrix. Mix this with crouching and you can manipulate your hitbox in creative ways to evade attacks. The weapon you hold determines how you swing, stab, or riposte. It also determines how you impact or impale your enemies. Impact power is also a thing, and so is impact resistance. In a duel of one-handers and shields, the person with more impact resistance will stagger their opponent's attacks, vice versa. With enough impact power, you can break crates or doors. Before I get into the next part, let's give a general definition to actions. Actions are the physical movements your character does with their hands. So that could be swinging your weapon, drinking pots, reloading your bow, or swapping items. Keep in mind that actions slow your movement speed. As a pro tip, if you're on the run, jump before you do an action. This helps you retain some of your movement speed and keep active. This is good to learn for kiting, pursuing enemies, and fleeing situations while healing. It's not necessary for every case, but that small distance covered can make a big difference in a fight. I'll also add that, like many other games, audio plays a huge role in this game. Hearing footsteps, spells casting, actions performed can give you a strong insight as to what dangers might be near. I've never played a game that required so much attention to audio for survival. I could go on forever about the topic of PvP, but I'll conclude this video with a couple more tips. The first being an obvious one, but easy to forget. Knowing your advantages and disadvantages is crucial to winning. Whether that's an advantage of your class, the weapon you wield, landing the first hit, or experience, you can find what it takes to battle Goliath. If you've ever been pinned at a disadvantage, then you'll find yourself faced with the tip number 2. The final advice for this video. Fight to the death, and learn from it. Circumstances can only take you so far. In the end, it won't matter how fast you run, how strong your gear is, or how much of an advantage you're at. The one who puts up a better fight will most likely win.